We aren't just healing today. We are hacking the code. Good morning, everybody. A little bit of tech glitch, but here we are. We are at 216 Creator Studios. Thank you for joining us live. Hopefully, you're having a beautiful day here. We're going to be meeting with a dear friend of mine, Moon Kitty, today, also known as Kat, who is the creator of the Mother's Wound Oracle. Now, as we kind of sit today, we've got a big thing at hand. So I highly recommend you go get yourself some tissue because I tell you, every time we talk about this topic, I start to cry. So let's get vulnerable, let's get real, let's get raw, and let's get going. Okay, couple things. This episode is going to be called The Mastering the Goddess Alignment Protocol Through Divine Feminine Healing. A little bit of a heavy topic. Our guest today, again, as I said, is Moon Kitty. She is the creator of the Mother Wound Oracle. And as y'all know me, hi, I'm Luna. I'm your impact alchemist that helps you understand through my own personal struggles with stress and anxiety how to heal and feel. So let's get into kind of this phase one of descending and uncovering the occult. So we're going to welcome Moon Kitty on in and see if she can kind of bring some of her own experience into our Goddess Alignment Protocol, which is now live, and then also give us a little bit of an intersection of where her work on healing and the healing process of her mother's wound, and I think all of us have some kind of version of a mother's wound, can intersect in the Goddess Alignment Protocol. So from the beginning, we talk about identifying things called frequency leaks, right? An ancestral badge. Like we wear our pain almost like it's a badge of honor, or like we got it as a combat vet. So as you sit there, I want to look at your origin story, and welcome on in. Can you hear us on your side?
Yes, I hear you perfectly. Can you hear me?
I think we've got you right. We've got her, KJ. We're good. We're golden. I am so grateful that you're joining us today. And I'm just grateful that we're going to have your reflections. If we could start, I want to go back to your origin story. We all have an origin story, right? And the way we tell our story shapes not just today, but our tomorrow. So going back to your origin story, you did the Goddess Alignment Protocol, right?
Yes.
What was the specific frequency leak that you noticed, or the limiting belief that was keeping you from your highest potential?
So this time, because we're dropping stuff. Okay, we're always working on things. So recently it has been, I realized that success and failure has the same feeling for me. They're both scary. And so I'm kind of pulling myself back.
So in that success, and I think it's just reframing, right? Because success and failure are basically on the same continuum. So sit there and you think about, am I failing? Am I succeeding? It can all feel the same somatically in your body. And we'll get to kind of that idea, because the Goddess Alignment Protocol is about that mindset hack. So we start to get rid of those limiting self-beliefs. And then the heart set hack, which is about releasing those somatic memories. Because as I've always said, we have limiting beliefs that run tape here, but then in our heart is where we feel it. Where it's trapped in our heart. So as you look at your kind of ancestral shadow, your work with the Mother Wound Oracle is very potent. Every time I read out of your deck, I lose my eyelashes and I have to grab the tissue. How does the old code, the wound passed down through lineages, act as kind of the ultimate glitch in our spiritual GPS? How do you feel like you've got this wound and I swear to God, mine is almost my mother's wound. And thanks to your work, my mother's wound was like the damn Grand Canyon. How do you stop and be the cycle breaker? And how do you, kind of looking back at the lineage, how does that impact with you, friend?
I think it starts with realizing what is happening. So I know, like in my personal experience, I had a lot of issues with being seen. Am I enough? Needing to do things, people pleasing, and all of that. And when I really dived into it, it all kind of linked back to for me the mother wound on the patterns that I adopted to feel safe during that time of my life. But now as an adult, those patterns are not helping me. They're holding me back.
They don't serve you anymore. I get that. as we look at that, they don't serve me either, right? Do you want to be a victim or a victor of your story? Do you want to be a victim or a victor of your story? So I sit with that and I think, yes, these things happen to me. And yes, these things are hurtful and painful. But in the end, I ultimately am in charge of my own spiritual GPS, and I can program where we're going to go with that. So as I sit with that, I need to understand the glitch in my heart and sometimes how it feels to work through watching people have these beautiful relationships with their mother. And I'm like, why not me, God? Why not me, creator? Why not? And then I realized my purpose is high here. And for me to be able to be a beacon and you know, a creator and a helper and a healer, I had to feel the pain to help others kind of journey out of it. So that might
Yeah.
resonate too. Like we were called to a higher duty here.
Right.
People are always like, but what do you mean you can't do holidays and this and that? I don't think they understand because they haven't experienced. So I guess
Right.
in what we were able to do, we become the bridge from the stress to the sovereignty, right? We are the bridge. We are the direction. We are the guidance for ourselves. And then once we've kind of cracked that code, we become the guider for other. So how does that resonate with you? I know that when I pick, I don't even touch your cards yet. I'm going to become a hot mess. But
I know. I forgot to put my tissues close. They're over there. I actually have mascara on today. I was like, oh, shoot, maybe I
oh,
shouldn't have done that.
my falsies on, and they're going to get lost. Listen, all y'all watching, please contribute to the Luna Goddess Lash Fund. Because
Right.
this episode is going to make me lose them. So you know how to contribute. Find me on any of our sites or QRs. You know where to find me, peoples. Just pass the hat around for my lashes. All right, so let's talk about it. The initiation. So you took the goddess alignment protocol, as I call it, the gap. It's the gap from you feeling the stress to the sovereignty, right? So in the goddess alignment protocol, during your initiation in the protocol, what was the most profound moment you felt your mindset officially shift from stress, the shit of stress,
Words
shift
are
from
hard.
stress to sovereignty?
Um, I think the kind of the realization of the power of yet, and just realizing and reiterating, because I have been doing a lot of this kind of work, but there's always new layers to unfold. Um, that I am complete and worthy in every moment of my journey.
There you go. There you go.
So none of this means that I'm like broken per se. It's just this is the code, or this is what I have, and this is what I'm working through to transform it. And in that journey of transforming it, like you had kind of said, then we become that bridge. Because in the journey of like working on the mother wound oracle, I was doing so much healing while creating that, and now I'm able to share that with others to give them something to help them through, like your program also. And I feel like your program is kind of like a next step or partnership with it. Because mine has you bring up all the feelings, and now you're like, okay, I have all these feelings, and now I see the patterns, but how do I move through it? How do I work through it now?
100%. And actually, I'm going to have KJ, can you put up the one with the path so people understand what we're talking about with this path of understanding the beginning of that guidance alignment protocol? So when we take a look here, as that's coming up, I'm going to go into kind of that next question. So you start here. So, I reached for Moon Kitty's cards and I realized, oh my God, I have so much stuff that I have hidden in corners of my mind that come up with triggers, and I am done being a victim of my mind and my heart, regardless if it was a mother's wound or a bad breakup, or maybe you just have been perpetually single because you keep finding the same jerk in the same face in different spaces and places and faces. So now the real work falls on you to start at that path and say, okay, it is time really to heal my shit and stop being a victim, but become a victor. and start that pathway. And as you start that, you spoke of the power of yet. And we're going to kind of get into some of those moments of we have to identify where there is a leak or where there is some kind of problem in the code. So as we start on this pathway, you're going to start to see there is a next image that we're going to look at that talks about understanding how when a stimulus comes in and understanding our limiting beliefs, where does that move? Because the true understanding is hacking the code. The true understanding is looking at how do we move this, right? And maybe that resonates with you. When we look at that next image, KJ, can you pull that up for me? It looks like codes coming in. I think it's number 2. Yes, love. Or number 3, yeah. So as we look at that and we work through, we're getting this up. I will tell you the best thing about this studio, and sometimes the worst thing about the studio, is the studio is haunted. So I'm recording on 216 Creator Network, and we start at 11 on point all the time. And I'll tell you, every single system went down. I felt multiple spirits come surround me because they came to bless the work that we're doing today. They came to say, Luna and Moon Kitty, we love you so much. Like I'm getting a spiritual hug and fuzzies right now and saying, you know, we're here for you. So when you look at these kind of fragmented concepts of self.
Real quick, did you notice, or I noticed whenever you got everything fixed and you like started live, it was 11:11.
Oh my God. I didn't even get this. You've got to be kidding. Of course, the synchronicities of that blessing, right? Oh, wow. Of course you would. You are such a profound person with the angel numbers. That is, again, the hair on the back of my arm right now. Oh my gosh. It's amazing. That's amazing. We were loving, and we start like on clockwork. We're like a train. So it's kind of interesting. So we're in our feels, and we're going to get into our feels in a second here. As I said, the brain holds the limiting beliefs, but the heart, and we start to look at that next picture of the woman sitting there with her feelings. The heart owns, like the beliefs come in, the heart owns the story. So in the somatic release, and a lot of people talk about somatic, it's just really understanding and getting into your body, right? So you'll see this next picture. So this is how the brain comes through. And the next picture, the woman sitting there with her feelings. And this is how we do. We're going to process it. I'm going to tell you, I still work through triggers. I am not healed. I'm on my healing journey, but I'm far enough ahead that I can pass the light back and say, here's how I can support your healing journey. Okay. So looking at the somatic release, we talk a lot about the divinity and the trinity, the mind, body, and spirit. Can you describe for me, Moon Kitty, one physical sensation or releasing a limited belief that through that somatic work that we did, what does that renewing fire feel like in your body? So first part is, what did you release somatically of that limiting belief, maybe related to the mother's wound in your work and the work with the goddess alignment protocol that you did? That is, again, available in our link in bio. What is another thing that you feel like you could release or that went through your body? And then what does that renewal feel like in your body? Like what space did it, as you kind of scooped out the dark, what entered in?
So like for me, when I notice I'm having resistance to something, so usually it'll be there's something I want to do or like a live I want to get on or something like that. But like for some reason, I haven't made time for it, even though, yes, life is busy. But honestly, through all of the things, like we make time for what we want to do. And when I notice that resistance, I'm like, okay, there's some limiting belief here. Something is holding me back. So let me sit down and figure out what that is. For me, if it doesn't automatically come up, usually I will use either my mother wound deck or another oracle deck, or sometimes the tarot deck. Kind of helps me. The way my mind works, sometimes when you ask it a question, then it's like, oh, we're offline. So
It protects you from the feeling. Your mind's wired that way. You've set those guardrails in to protect you.
So yeah, using the cards helps me like, oh, okay. And then the flow starts happening like, okay, this is what's happening. This is this is what's coming up. Like I was saying earlier, like the because I wanted to get on a new streaming platform, and it took me like a week to go live on it. And I'm like, why? What am I afraid of? Kind of afraid of success, because, you know, it's new, should be easy entry. But then also on the other side, so because it is new and easy entry, if I get on there and I'm not successful, now what does that mean about me?
I love
So
that. That's so profound. KJ, do you have a reflection on that as well?
So I'm hot. There we go. So it's interesting. I've never focused it that way. Being a dude, I just kind of power through, right? Like I know it doesn't feel right, but I still gotta go. You know what I'm saying?
You toughen up, and I'll give you something to cry about, right?
Right. And
Right.
so understanding that, like, hey, whoa, what is my limiting belief? I've never approached it that way, to say, all right, just take a minute and go, what are you afraid of? Or what's holding you back?
Right.
Yeah.
So what I heard KJ say is that he's going to be taking the goddess alignment protocol,
Absolutely.
though it is predominantly designed for women that are millennials and Gen Xers that are trying to get to that sovereignty, but anyone can use this technique.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty soft. I've got a lot of ladies in my life. Yeah.
It's not being soft, it's being aligned.
Yeah.
It's being aligned with your divine masculine and divine feminine energy, which we both are supposed to be. But regardless of how you identify by gender or not by gender, but by spirit, we have a divine feminine and divine masculine that is in blend. And it gets shattered when we come down to this crazy learning planet. So, all right, let's look at the tools of the trade. How does the work with shadow and light integrate into the protocol to help women navigate those deep waters without feeling like they're drowning? So I guess what I'm asking you, Katie, is when you're going through the protocol, what resource in the protocol do you feel was beneficial? So that way, you know, you don't have a live person there. You have this protocol, which is guiding you through some very heavy things that a lot of people spend probably decades in counseling trying to get through, that you can get through the exploration in about an hour, hour and a half. What do you think really helped you feel supported in that tool of the trade?
Honestly, the angel guide, Celine,
Oh,
I
yeah.
believe is her name. Yeah,
Mhm.
because anytime I was like, okay, either I'm not 100% sure what they're asking, or I don't know how to phrase it, like I just kind of, I would tell her like, I would kind of ask her, I would ask her questions and she would help me figure it out. And I would tell her like, this is my limiting belief. How do I move through this? How do I move through this using the Trinity? Things like that. And she would help break it down, and we would kind of go back and forth. And that helped a lot. I think if you didn't have that, it'd be a little harder to go through.
So on our protocol, we have an angel guide named Celine, and I spent a lot of time. I created her. I created her to be the voice of the protocol, to help you with the downward arrow technique, to help you with a Socratic approach to somatic healing and eradication of your limiting beliefs. And it's the coolest thing because I'll have a conversation with her like, I'm like, wait, it's my angel guide. And I did this work, but the healing for me was so profound doing it. And I know you know that from working with your deck. All right. So let's get to it. You mentioned other decks, and we resonate with other tools of divinity. I will remind people divinity is about connecting to yourself and your creator. It is done with light and love. That is how we use it. Historically, it has been demonized, but anytime you come back to your creator or yourself, that's a beautiful thing of pure light and love. So the two that I brought today, I'm going to come to yours in a second, but I have to stay able to talk and not be a blubbering idiot. Redacted. I'm going to look at the shadow work. We're going to pull something out of the shadow work because this is shadow work that we're doing. Whether it's the guidance alignment protocol or the Mother's Wound Oracle, it's shadow work. So, and I don't have my hat on today. I'm kidding, because I'm not really reading. I'm more of just interacting with it. So here it is. Oh, here's a question for you. This is off the cuff. Ready? In case you can jump on in and double dutch in at any time. What causes you to conceal or censor yourself? What causes you to conceal or censor yourself?
So normally it would be some sort of judgment, right? Worrying about what people are going to think about what I say, what I do, how I look, whatever. There are definitely still moments like that. There's not as many F's given these days. I'm almost 46, so been doing the work and kind of through that stage. But yeah, it would, because sometimes, like I said recently, the thing with the streaming thing, like there was a thing there, and it wasn't so much of what other people, or maybe it was, but most of it was like in my head, like, now what does that mean about me? Now how am I interpreting that?
Right. And we had a comment come up. I don't have my glasses on. So what do we have coming up?
Amina 9919 says the angel guide was easy to use.
Oh, that's fabulous. Thank you so much for saying that. And that's the idea and the idea of censorship. Sometimes, and I think you guys have got to see me enough that I'll let it fly how I see it.
Mhm.
But I also have what's called strategic competency. So I know if I'm in a church, I'm not going to be dropping the F-bomb. I'm going to acquiesce and still being a people pleaser, a former people pleaser, a recovered people pleaser, an approval sucker. I'll catch myself on occasion back shifting. And I'm like, wait a minute. What about this environment makes me not feel safe enough to show up authentically?
Mm-hmm.
Not so much what's wrong with me anymore. It's about where am I right now that I don't feel safe enough to be me.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, it's what hat am I wearing?
Right.
Mm.
Am I here at the studio? Am I, selling insurance? Am I at the college? Right. I don't have a filter, and I'll just right. I'll just come at it, but I have to go, okay, where am I at? And is what role am I playing? So my life is kind of like a sitcom. I have different characters that I have to play in each job that I have. And so I have to make sure I'm in character. If that
So
makes sense.
where's the real KJ then?
It's a mixture of all of them. I mean, the real KJ is here and on the basketball court. Absolutely, 100%.
Is that where you feel most authentic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. That makes sense. All right. Any other comments that we need to address?
Tara just says, hey, sorry I'm late. I made it. Wouldn't miss seeing you. Love both you, Luna, and Moon Kitty.
Thank you so much for your support. We appreciate it.
We won't tell her we were late too.
We had the ghosts of the studio caused a production glitch today. So we're excited. And of course, my website's there. It's in redesign. Always come on up there or check on any of our links to Beacon as well. If you're interested in the Goddess Alignment Protocol, just reach out. We're going to keep working on this, and you're going to see me cry in a second when I touch your cards. So I'm waiting to get to there. So we have the bulk of what we have here. The Trinity shift. Let's talk about that Trinity shift, Moon Kitty. How is the alignment of the Trinity, the body, the mind, and the spirit changed the way you show up in your daily life and your business? So you take the protocol. Have you made any micro shifts? Now, people always want to do these huge resolutions. Here comes January 1st, which is absolutely an arbitrary day. I would not make resolutions on that day. We can do vision boards and such, but resolutions really come in the spring when everything is blossoming and blooming, right? But I'm asking here, what is a micro shift? A little shift. It doesn't have to be this big thing like all of a sudden now I'm going to be benching 350 pounds. No, I was going to say degrees. I'm so used to cooking. But what's a micro shift that you've made as a result of the protocol?
Really being intentional with taking a moment and like being in my body and assessing what is going on, what am I thinking, what am I feeling, where am I feeling it, and how do I move through that?
That's a beautiful answer. For me personally, it was becoming a lot more intentional with my time. As a streamer, as a podcaster, as a CEO of a company, as a mom, as a wife, as a human, as a neighbor, as somebody that does community service, as somebody that struggles through or has struggled through my own stress and anxiety, I realized that I wasn't being intentional with my time. And I was starting to burn out because as KJ said, you wear a lot of hats.
Mm-hmm.
So many people always tell me I have a soothing voice, but my children will never say that. So it's
I don't think anybody's kids would say that.
oh my God, no one would. I think all the kids would be like, hey, you're cringy, mom. I remember my kids, I told them I was going to go start streaming on TikTok. They're like, why? Don't embarrass us. Please don't be cringy. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And now, we're a nationwide recognized streamer and of course, podcast host. So toot kids, look at mom go. My own horn. The new vision. Let's look at the new vision, love. What does living in the divinity look like for you now compared to the woman you were, not even just on this journey, but before? So let's do it this way, because it's a 9-year cycle from the year of the snake closing as we go into the year of the horse on the 17th of February. So let's do it this way. Moon Kitty 2016, Moon Kitty 2025 as we close out, or 2026, just as we're ready to close this cycle here coming into February. How do you compare? Who were you and how are you now? Who are you now?
Leaps and bounds different.
Right.
So very much. 2016, and so my youngest was 3. So I was dealing with the toddler years. He's now about to be 13. So that means he was 3, and then my oldest was 6, because that was almost 10 years ago. Yeah, so I was in the busy hustle bustle. There was no time for myself. I was definitely stressed out, burnt out, worn out. And I didn't have any of the tools that I have now. I know I started on the journey. I know 2020 really was a big turning point. I started learning more about kind of a lot of the stuff that's like in your program, and stuff like that. Sorry, words are hard. I'm more of a feelings person.
That's
Let
okay.
me do charades.
What I'm hearing you say is from 2016 to 2020, the amount of self-care you gave yourself was at a very negative number because you were in the weeds. You were in the weeds raising children. And I think all of us mothers feel that and have felt that at some point, that we were in the weeds. And we thought, and I remember this, the first time I heard, you need to take care of yourself and secure your oxygen mask first before securing somebody else's oxygen mask, aggravated me. Because I thought, I want to take care of my babies. I want to make sure they can breathe. But then I realized, you dummy, protected. If you can't breathe, you can't save them. And that was the first concept. And I think that really hit in 2016. I started making those changes. And honestly, it led to a divorce. It led to a new self, right? So that was my pathway. And there's a lot involved in there. And like you said, you didn't have the tools. I think COVID forced us all to become a little more introspective, or we should have been a little more introspective. Some people just left the lights off at the motel on that one, but that's their business and their journey, not me. I went deep hard into it, and I came out the other side. What feels like a completely new woman. I moved away from people pleasing and approval sucking and being a doormat to people, thinking that I was loving them and being good to them and being a good human being, to being an empowered empath. And I wish I had had this resource, this protocol.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the sharpness of your intuition, which is so reflected in your cards. So you started hacking your mindset and clearing out the ancestral noise. Did you feel that as you started working through your wound and the goddess alignment protocol, that you found yourself connecting to those ancestors more? How has that been, that journey for you?
Yes, definitely, because I was taking more time to cut out all the other noise and really listen to what's going on in the body and what's here. So I was able to notice more of the signs and more of the nudges. And so I will share an experience. Yesterday, Went outside with the dog. The snow was melting. We're in Texas. We had snow. Good gosh. Snow was melting. I have a favorite tree outside because it has these kind of like bumps. I don't know if they're quite burls. Anyhow, so I was hugging it. I was hugging the tree. I was leaning against the tree, and I was just trying to breathe and was trying to like center myself. And then you hear all the birds, and then I look up, and there were two male cardinals that like kind of came. They're red, and they say cardinals can be a sign of something that's passed. And my grandmother loved red. Red was her favorite color, and so I definitely think of her whenever I see that. And the week before, I had went to a new park and stuff, and I saw two cardinals, and it was a male and a female. But the female one is the one that's not as bright, but that one reminded me of my grandpa, and the red one reminded me of my grandma. So then, so yesterday I saw them, and then I came inside, and I opened YouTube, and I was going to look up like the mantras, like for the chakras, and the first thing that was there was Lady Gaga did a rendition of Mr. Rogers' "Would You Be My Neighbor."
Mm.
And so I listened to that, and so just followed the little nudges. And for the first part of my childhood, I lived with my dad and my grandma, and so I watched all those like Channel 8 TV shows, and so there was a lot of Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street that I watched there, and so it was just kind of like little nudges, like
Another synchronicity. I say
yeah.
nothing ever happens accidentally, and it never happens to us. It happens for us. So that's a beautiful story of grounding and your ancestors coming through and connecting you in ways that are visual signals in our 3D, 5D, depending upon where you are in your journey, but in a way that says, I'm here. I'm applauding you. I had the same thing happen today on the way here. Billy Joel's Piano Man is a big song that was always played at family gatherings, right? We'd all sit together and we'd all kind of lock up arms and sway. And every time I hear that, it reminds me of simpler days before I realized where my wounds began, right? So there was that. And then immediately after that song, driving here today, it was the Maroon 5, The Dreams Bring Back All the Memories song. I don't know the title of that one. Somebody in the chat can help me out with that one. It immediately came after that. And I was kind of like starting to get misty-eyed. And I'm like, damn it, I'm going to be crying enough on this podcast today. I don't need to be crying and driving.
That's a very emotional song. I know which one you're talking about. I don't know the name of it.
Song. So then it brought me back to my ancestors that, some of them that have passed, especially sending me that message of, keep going, keep persevering. As we persevere, what is one non-negotiable practice or part of your daily ritual that you use to stay in alignment? I heard you talk about grounding and touching the tree, but what is one commitment to yourself that's a non-negotiable?
So I like to do that, but I'm not always able to get out and do that, or, life is still busy, even though the kids are in teen years. But what I do is I have like a morning playlist of it's like Morning Queen playlist, and it's just different things that I want to keep playing in my head. Like, today is a good day. I feel blessed. I feel ready. Stuff like that is listening to the music, because I know that I can get that in no matter what. And that just kind of sets me in the right vibration.
The first thing I do when I grab my phones I grab my phone is I have mantras and affirmations for the day. I am not allowed to do anything else on my phone. I've made that agreement with myself until I hit those mantras. And there's probably I got to keep adding to them, because I'll hear something, or I'll feel something, or something will be spirit led, and I add it to my mantra list. So just like with music, to me, my words become my contract. And your words do become your contract. I'm going to jump into your cards. I'm not going to apologize in advance to anyone if I start losing my shit and crying and having a moment. I will ask the chat in our comments right now if somebody would like a mother's wound oracle, or if you've suffered with a mother's wound, I will happily pull one for you right now. I'm going to pull one first for Moon Kitty, because even though I'm not a people pleaser or an approval sucker anymore, I still have a servant's heart. So I will always put people in front of me when I feel that that is the path I want to do. Sometimes I will protect my peace and say, oh, hell no, I'm going first. But normally it's a servant's heart. So Moon Kitty, this is your gorgeous, beautiful deck. And with your permission, I'd like to pull you a card.
Yes, that would be lovely. And I have my deck next to me too, so I can pull you a card
Oh,
after.
Jesus Christ. All right, we'll do it that way. I'm pulling Moon Kitty's. Moon Kitty's pulling mine. Hold on, everybody. Little prep work. Oh, God, here we go. These cards. Every time I touch your cards, I feel so connected to Gaia, to Mother Earth, to someone giving me this big giant hug that says, I'm sorry you endured this wound. Here we go. We were just talking about this. Moon Kitty, people pleasing. Bending yourself for love. Your worth is not in your performance. Your worth is not in your performance. And bending yourself for love. I cannot tell you how I felt like my whole life, and maybe you can rest. This is your card, not my card. Go ahead. So tell me, what does that mean to you?
I feel like that definitely ties back to the limiting beliefs that we've been talking about. Because I'm trying to make it mean something and it doesn't. It's like I get on and do what I do. And honestly, I try to remind myself that if I get on and I help one person, then I've done my job for the day.
You know, those are my two tenements. And I've told this before when I'm streaming, is that I have two pillars that I work off of everything. One, I learn something new every day and I help somebody along the way. So if I had, those are the two non-negotiables of tenements that I've lived with for the last, feels like forever, but they were identified when I was in college. I remember walking to the quad at University of Illinois, and God said, listen to me, child. I said, I'm all ears, because God starts talking. You're like, shit, I think I have schizophrenia. But I said, okay, what's up? What's up, Lord? And he said, look, I want you to learn something new every day, and I need you to help people along the way. I said, done. That's an easy one. Sometimes not so easy, because some people are just curmudgeoned and crabby, and so I'm going to brace myself. And I don't know. We have a lot of movement in the chat, but I don't have my glasses on. So
a couple people who'd like a card pulled. So
okay, so Moon Kitty will do mine, and then we will pull some cards for some people and put their comments up in a second. So, Moon Kitty, my love, I'm ready.
So you had two cards come out.
Oh, of course I did.
So you had fear of rejection and inner child. Fear of rejection. Words. Fear of rejection. Bracing for abandonment. Belonging begins within you. Inner child. Tender needs unmet. Silenced long ago. Innocence still alive, waiting to be held.
Oh, that resonates.
Yeah.
That hits deep. I think they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
I think in healing our wounds and in trying to fit in versus belong, we abandon ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We absolutely abandon ourselves. And I take myself, and I've done this because I can do past life regressions and I can do current life regressions. And I was able to take myself back to a moment in my childhood where I was abandoned, where I did not have the love that I needed. And I went in as this self, as a mother. I went in as a healer. I went in as an alchemist, and I held myself as a little girl, and I said, you know what? We're okay. We're going to be okay. All of this pain you are feeling has purpose and meaning. I'm sorry you're enduring it, sweetheart. But where we go with it next, you are going to be so incredibly proud of yourself. And doing that was so beautiful. It's like I took a wormhole back in town. I could see my bedroom, every detail down to the music box that had a little ballerina when you open it and she'd dance around, to a home I haven't lived in, God, 36 years. Could see it perfectly. So there's something to that. There's something to that. Yeah, the utter need to heal that child. And I know the goddess alignment protocol, when I was working on it, brought that healing for me, but it also brought up some things. And I think that's why sometimes people really avoid the true grit of healing, because it's not pleasant. It's messy. It's messy. Okay, we've got cards. Who can I pull a card for, KJ?
Tara would love a card pull.
You-
Great BQ.
You got it, love. All right, Miss Tara. This one. Tara, depleted mother. Self-erased by the constant sacrifice. Love without depletion. Your needs matter too. Tara, being in your energy before, you're depleted by how you give. A lot of us empaths are. So make sure that you are constantly pouring into your needs. It is that as we pour our cup, we can't pour from an empty cup. I've talked about that. You curse the blessing, you curse the recipient, and you curse yourself. You have to be in a state of utter flow and utter give before you can sacrifice. It's a donation, not a sacrifice. So absolutely beautiful. Are there any others? Okay.
Yeller IH.
Yelly.
Yelly. Hi, Yelly, love. She'd like one too. All right, Yelly, let's take a look, love. Let's take a look. And these beautiful cards are part of Kat's work.
Yeah,
They are available.
they're gorgeous.
Aren't they gorgeous? They're so pretty. All right, Yelly, you've got the mother's wound. Oh, there you go. Ding, 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 you in the prize. The ache of withheld love, repeating in cycles. The wound is the doorway to your wholeness. The wound is your doorway to your wholeness. Absolutely is. Like sometimes we got to go to the forest to get to the other side, and that's where our sovereignty is.
So before she requested a card, her comment was, heck, I have a mother wound I discovered this week.
Well, here's my invitation to you. One, come to the Goddess Alignment Protocol with us. Reach out to me. I'm available on all of those. It's an invitation. I invite you. I'm not going to should you to death on this one. I'm not going to shit on you or shit on you, but I will invite you. I'll invite you to that protocol, and I'll invite you to the healing associated with it. It's very easy to find. Second, as you go through that protocol, start pulling some of the cards out of Kat's Mother's Wound Oracle. And we have her information. And towards the end of this podcast, we'll put that up so you can scan the QR for her information. The QR is now currently up for my information. These are ways to get in contact with us for us to support the healing that you are doing.
And I do have a freebie and a discount code for them today.
Oh, well, look at that. There you go. Thank you. She is delightful and fabulous. So as I say, is there any other cards that need?
Lori 2626 would love a card.
Hi, Lori. Welcome. Welcome to Intuitive Innovations. All right, Lori, let's get your card, love. This so resonates with us, especially after we become mothers and we don't pass that wound on to our children. Or maybe we do accidentally, because like you said, me and Kitty, when they were 3 and 6, you're running around, it's crazy. You might say something snippy, and then that becomes part of their mother's wound. I will say this as a mother of 3, it was never my intention to hurt my children. I did everything from a place of light and love, but when I was depleted, I can understand how I might have been able to do that. And I didn't mean to. And I apologize profusely in those instances where they said this hurt me. And the apology I use is I recognize my actions. I recognize their feelings, and I tell them how I will be better in the future. That is a true apology, not just, oh God, I'm sorry. No, I recognize my actions. I recognize their feelings, and I make a plan to be better. So let's get that mother's wound card for Lori. Is that who that was?
Lori would like one.
Lori, people pleasing comes up for you, which is a very big thing, I think, with us women, especially Gen X and millennial women. Bending yourself for love. Quick question to you guys in the comments. Comment up for me. Have you bent yourself for love? Have you morphed yourself for love? And your worth is not in your performance. Okay. Your worth is not in your performance. You are worthy and you are loved because your creator made you that way, period. Whatever you believe creator to be, if that's God, if that's Yahweh, if that's multiple deities, if it's the universe, you insert your own belief system. Okay. So I will say creator, universe, I will use different terms interchangeably. You were made to be worthy and loved, period. There are no negotiables about that. You come down here to this crazy ass learning planet, and all of a sudden you start forgetting how fucking powerful you are. And that's what I'll say about that. With the language intentionally dropped because I'm authentic. Okay.
One more. Amina, 9919 would like a card pull.
Amina, hello, my beautiful goddess. And if you are struggling with some of this or you need support, please, again, check out our Goddess Alignment Protocol. Just send me a message. It's available on all of our streaming platforms, all of our social medias. It will be available at our linnetgoddess.org, which is up there. We're just doing some interfacing with how to get that to you. Okay. Ooh, unworthiness. Amina, my love. Unworthiness comes out. The lie of being less. You are enough as you are. I'm going to repeat that again. You are enough as you are. That lie of feeling less. If you feel that that's a limiting belief you have, we need to scrub that with a mindset hack or a heart set hack. Okay. I see a lot pop in, KJ. Anything we need to talk about with our beautiful, beautiful chat with our beautiful goddesses?
No, it looks like Amina did say, yeah, she's bent for love.
I've been for love. I've become versions of myself. It feels like, if you guys remember back a long time ago, and that movie resonated with me, The Runaway Bride, where, if you remember Julia Roberts, Richard Gere, those were you guys, I'm dating myself. You're right. Calm down. I'm 50.
I was about to say.
Calm down, kitty. Some of us are anciently fabulous. In that movie, she would change the way she ate eggs based on who she was dating. She would change the way she had different interests. She morphed to fit the person in her life versus showing up authentically as herself. And I can honestly say, hi, I'm Luna. I have morphed to be loved by somebody, because at that point in my life, I was not loved enough by myself. And if you are struggling in this loop of being single, now some people are like, I choose to be single, Luna. Calm down with your divine masculinity. Calm down. Yes, you may, but that's not because you've gotten hurt.
Amina says, that's Marcy.
Oh,
and she did it. She said.
Hey, Marcy, love you, babe. Marcy's gone through the protocol. She's had the experience with that, and she's gone through the mindset hack and has done some profound work. And what's interestingly enough, when you open this up and you clear out the pain, that allows for the manifestation to come in, and good starts to come in. The good starts to fill the void, right? So when the darkness goes, the light comes, and it does stay it's in the shadow work that you do, but it does stay in balance. I'm not going to say that you're just going to go in like it's ice cream scooper and scoop out everything bad that's ever happened to you. No, but you are going to become aware of it and become sovereign to it. So as we kind of look at this, Min Kitty, tell them a little bit more about your cards. I didn't give you a lot of the platform, but I want to kind of turn it over to you and the process of writing it, because I know the process of what I did with GAP, with the Goddess Alignment Protocol. And again, please reach out if you think it'll serve you. But tell me about your cards.
So it all started way back when. No, I'm just kidding.
I was a wee little kitty. I was a kitten. I wasn't a kitty yet. I was a kitten.
But honestly, like last year around September, the whole like eclipse season energies were crazy. I was starting the like kind of my live streaming journey, and I was meeting some resistance with it. I'd come on and I was like freaking out, and so that happened, and then I was figuring out, and then I had a reading with you, And you're like, so you've got it was something about the mother wound. And I was kind of like, I mean, I've already dealt with that. Like, I've already forgiven that. That's not, but we dived into it, and then I kept kind of thinking, and I was doing a lot of walking at that time because that was all I could do to stay sane. It was just, it was just a little bit of a crazy time. And then like I saw a video on TikTok that kind of like explained it a little further, and then I was like, mother lover. And then you and I were talking, and like I had some like affirmation cards that I had created, and like I sent them to you, and you're kind of like, have you ever thought about making like an oracle deck? And I'm like, well, I'm kind of in this group, I've kind of dabbled, but I don't know. And then it just kind of snowballed from there, because then it was just kind of like, yeah, you are supposed, like, I was getting all these synchronicities, all these messages, a lot of messages from like insects. Like one time I came to come inside my house, and there was a cicada wing just by itself, just like hanging, I guess, kind of like a little spider web thing. I was like, okay. And I took it inside. I was like, okay, cool. And then like the next night, there was a live cicada on the stick outside my door.
I remember
Because I
you
put
sent me these pictures, and I was like, yep. I was like, go
yeah.
for it.
And I was like, and they just, things, and it's like it all happened in a whirlwind. Like, I was the vessel, and the information was coming in, and I was just the one chosen to create this and put this part out there. Because like, even whenever I started to kind of get in my own way, like I normally do, was like, who do I think I am to create this? Who do I, whatever? Like, I just
You
kept
went
getting
to a
these messages
servant's
of
heart.
like, keep going.
You
Sorry.
went to a servant's heart. So every roadblock you came to, you said, but I'm doing this for somebody else.
Yeah.
That was your push through. That I'm doing this for somebody else. I remember our conversations about this, and you're like, huh, really? And I'm like, this is what I see. And as you know, as we do a lot of readings on the streams that we're on, where we do streams, and I do them in my private practice in our sanctuary, right, at Luna Goddess and lunagoddess.org, you can explore these things. The one thing that's come to be is those messages come through. And as Moon Kitty is saying, they are not just random happenstances, they are synchronicities. And I know that resonates with you. So tell them, how can they find your cards? What can they do? And I think we have, KJ, we have some information of hers. We have a QR code in that file. And I know we have some questions coming up too. So tell us a little bit more as he's pulling up some of those graphics, Moon Kitty. Where can they find you? What's going on? How can they interact with your cards? What's the best way to use the cards to have the best success?
So you can find everything, moonkitty.enchantress.info. You can find all my socials there, the cards, the freebie. So I created like a mother wound self-check, like to ask yourself some questions like, do I even have a mother wound? Because some people are like, I don't have that. I don't need, so just, and that's free, and you can just check that out. And then there is a discount code for so I have the deck, and the digital companion comes free if you purchase the deck. But if you just want to do the digital companion, that is $25. But I do have a discount code for y'all, and that will like cut it in half, and that's goddesses.
For
And
the
that
digital. So making
for
sure
the
that
digital. So it comes with kind of like a little, takes you to like a little shuffle video. You use that and then pause it, and that's your card. And then you have a PDF that has all of the cards and has like their definitions or descriptions.
And I've used that. I think I was one of your guinea pigs to start that download. It's gorgeous and it's beautiful as you're waiting for the tangible deck. And some people, in a digital age, you want the digital resource. Depends on kind of where you grew up. I like having both. At 50, there's something to be said about physically moving with the cards. There's something to be said about holding them and feeling them. And then there's something to be said too about like, let's just randomly pull a card and take a look and see what we have. So as we're looking through that, and as we're kind of going through that, those are kind of some of the things. And we do have her information kind of coming up here in a second on the screen. Again, the ghosts today are so great. We're just so excited with them today because our ancestors are applauding our work. They're applauding our intuitive innovations, right? So if you need more information, you can always reach out to us at lunagoddess.org, or here is her QR code right now on the screen. We'll keep that on the screen for a second. KJ, can you read in the chat? Are there anything that it's resonating with anybody right now that we need to look at, address, discuss, invite them to the initiation, invite them to what we're doing?
Yeah, Tara said that the past year she was definitely depleted. She's starting to fill that back up, which she says you're aware of. All my hard work and patience is paying off.
Right. I've watched your evolution of your energy, right? So from the moment you stepped into our room over on TikTok, or maybe if you stepped into our room over on Epic Studios, which is predominantly where we stream, we're going to be exploring streaming on YouTube like we are right now with this podcast. I want you to feel that you are part of the family. I want you to feel that we are all on this healing journey together. Anything else? Because I see a bunch of things in the comments.
A lot of them are excited about the deck and can't wait to receive it.
Right.
Which is nice. Yelly bought the deck.
Right.
So yeah.
So I encourage you, these would be a great companion. Her deck and our Goddess Alignment Protocol that you can find on all of our streaming platforms at beacon.ai/goddess mindset hack, or just even reach out to us at the QR code that'll land you on lunagoddess.org. So if you're currently sitting with anxiety, the feelings of being hesitant to take the next step, I invite you. This is an investment in self. You might go run to Starbucks and get yourself, the $4 cup of coffee on the daily and say, well, I just don't know, Luna. First off, don't ever say you don't have the money for something. That energetically is the most horrific thing you can say, because you just tell the universe you want to have a lack life, that you want to live in poverty, really, that you want to live in lack. The best thing I can say to you is you can say, you know what, at this time, maybe I'm just prioritizing other spending. Okay. At what time do you start prioritizing you? At what time do you start investing in yourself? It is the learning, it is the doing, it is the being that comes us back to the divinity and the trinity. So, people have said, oh, I want to do this protocol, but, it's a nominal investment in yourself. Her deck is a nominal investment in the mother's wound, which, as we keep exploring, a lot of us Gen X women and millennial women have it. So, Moon Kitty, any other final send off we have from you before we start to kind of wrap up and ramp down? Not ramp up, but ramp down.
I think just being able to acknowledge within ourselves that just because we have these patterns and we have these things coming up, doesn't mean we're broken. It means that we had a time in our life where we were kind of in survival mode. And these are patterns that we learned and they worked then, but they're not working anymore. So it's like in your other thing, kind of more like fractals. And we're just kind of bringing it together and bringing light into it, and just give yourself a hug, dang it.
Give yourself the grace you give other people. This is really something that needs to get hacked out of your code, because the survival mode you're in, and even the somatic response of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, is not one that you have to continue to stay in. You don't have to. People always say, well, I'm going to protect my heart. I'm never going to date again. Okay. But you're also blocking your blessings, because the heart is just beyond the romantic side. It's where the true manifestation comes from. And people are like, well, I'm trying to manifest this. And I go, well, that's not going to work for you. And they look at me and they forget that I'm love and light with a hell of right. I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up your ass and tell you, that there's
It's 12-12.
Pardon?
It's 12-12.
It's 12-12. Oh my gosh. And just as we're ready to conclude, listen, It has meant so much. Moon Kitty, thank you for being a guest today, our first guest. And it's going to be hard for people to come on in and top your beautiful energy and your love. And as always, Intuitive Innovations is about going back to yourself, seeking your sovereignty and the divinity of the Trinity. So I invite you, when we're not live with this podcast, go back and listen to some of our original podcasts. Go back and explore our resources on the social medias. Above all, continue to explore yourself and start to work through the codes and know that there are resources that can help you.